My name is Keith Miller. I'm the Vice President of Operations at Bishop Kearney High School.
How many years have you been using SkyPort IT services, and how did you discover us?
That's a great question. I believe it's 2022. And the reason SkyPort became involved is because our IT gentleman retired. And rather than hiring one person to replace, we decided to go with a company. And Brendan Tidings, who's our board chair now, obviously made the connection between SkyPort and Bishop Kearney.
What problem has managed security services solved for your organization?
Every problem. So essentially, just to give you a little bit more background, that I inherited this part of the job. Initially, I was just going to be the liaison between SkyPort and Bishop Kearney. We didn't have a go-between. So I started to work with Dan and the team to identify issues that we had within our building regarding technology. It turns out that we were very outdated. Our equipment was very old, and we were not doing very well with best practices. We were not keeping up with the times. So Dan and his team came in and basically identified those areas, was able to create a phased project for us in, I believe it was 8 phases. And we are just about complete with all 8 phases over the last few years. So tremendous job of just getting us back into the realm of, cybersecurity to functionality and efficiencies within our building.
How has SkyPort IT helped you in order to solve these problems?
Our server room was quite a mess. We had many different servers that were old, outdated. We didn't have a backup system. SkyPort did a wonderful job of condensing those, bringing us up to speed. I believe we got a new firewall. We got some more bandwidth into the building. We got a whole new system. We were using a system that unfortunately was costing us a lot of money, but not being able to be updated because it was so antiquated. We are now using a Ubiquity system with all the brand new access points. We also have a residential hall, actually 2 of them on our 3rd floor. And SkyPort was able to install all of that and bring it up to speed with the rest of the building. We now have a backup. We did have a backup that wasn't functioning as well. And so all of that infrastructure was replaced and upgraded. Dan his team also does day-to-day tasks for us because every one of our students, we're a 1-to-1 school. So all of our students have Chromebooks, and every one of our employees also has either a Chromebook or a laptop. And so monitoring all of those security parts where we have good control of what the students are looking at and what they can gain access to, as well as what our teachers and our employees have access to. The other thing that they developed, which was really, I'm not an IT person, I pretend really well, but they were able to develop 4 different categories of networks within our building. So in our residential hall, the residents can connect all their devices, but once they come off the 3rd floor, they are unable to connect to it. So it ups our value of learning when they're down into the school, that they're not playing games or have unauthorized internet access. We also have Promethean boards. They used to be whiteboards. Dan's team has hooked all those up together, so they're giant computer screens for us. Again, ups our value of education. And we also have the ability to have guests on our Wi-Fi as well, and then all our employees. So the kind of the way that it works for us as employees is we come in and everything is operational. We go home, we can take our laptops home. They do have functionality, but Dan is able to problem solve all of our issues right then and there. So it used to be having one person as our IT director. All problems went right to him. The poor gentleman was busy 12 hours a day. This way, Dan has a team, so we can call, they can remote into and solve 99% of our problems within probably about 5 minutes. SkyPort's team is outstanding, and we can't say enough great things about them as far as their accessibility and their ability to problem solve.
Have you ever contacted customer support? If you did, how was your experience?
Yes, we do it all the time. Obviously, every employee has SkyPort's number. If they are unable to problem solve on their own, they just call the number. And right there, it's very interesting because obviously we have incoming calls to the school, and sometimes we have 8 or 9 lines. SkyPort, I don't think it rings more than 3 times, and you get somebody that answers and can immediately start to problem solve. One of the big things for us as an educational system is our teachers may need some software. They might download an app or a program. And obviously with the security that SkyPort puts on for our organization, you need authorization to do that. That used to be a long drawn out process where we would have to take it to our IT gentleman on the second floor, and he would have to sit down and kind of go through it manually, trying to figure out if this was a safe thing for our devices. SkyPort can do that over the phone and probably takes about 2 minutes to do. So the feedback that I get from teachers especially is that they might have a lesson plan that they did not necessarily understand that they needed to use certain software. They can actually pull it up, download it. They call SkyPort within about 2 minutes. It's operational. And so there's very little downtime in their classroom, and it happens all the time. The other thing is that, ironically, one of the things that happens with our employees is Windows machines. Sometimes they get a little haywire, and we might call them, and the first thing that they say is, why don't you reboot? And a lot of times that does take care of it, but they're watching it come back up online and they can deal with it right there. It doesn't take long at all. Their customer service is by far the best we've ever had, to the point where because we have residents on our third floor, we are a building that's 24/7. So we have had calls where, our internet has gone down. It used to happen before our new upgrades, but we could call SkyPort and they can actually fix it on the weekends. They could process through if this was an emergency, at what level did they need to come and do something. I remember one particular instance where Dan and two other team members were actually in our building for longer than a 24-hour period all at once. They were kind enough to get it done so that our residents could function. In today's society, it's very difficult to function without Wi-Fi. We have a lot of residents that are a long ways from home, maybe even in a different country. So the fact that 2 o'clock in the morning here is 9 o'clock in the morning in, let's say, South Korea, those kids need to make a connection with their parents. So Dan and his team has done a great job of making sure that we are always up and running.
Have you used any of our training services?
We are starting the breach prevention trainings. They will be instituted more on a regular basis in the 25-26 school year, where we will actually have all employees doing the breach prevention training. I personally have gone through a couple of things that Dan has put out to me, but we haven't done it institutional wise. But that is our goal within the next probably 6 months, that we'll start using those training procedures throughout the building.
What do you like best about SkyPort IT? Why would you recommend SkyPort IT to others?
So there's so many reasons. Obviously, Dan is a great professional. One of the things that we get from SkyPort as an institution is they treat it like it's their own. When I ask for recommendations, the recommendations are based on how they would do stuff if they were Bishop Kearney. That is a very valuable thing, and especially a small Catholic school where money isn't super abundant, that there are a lot of hurdles that we have to jump. One of the things that we always get treated like we're the most important. And I know, just based on some of the just anecdotal conversations I have, I know that they have a lot of businesses that they work with, but they always make us feel important. And my guess is, because of who they are and the way that I feel, I'm not the only one that feels that way. The vested interest that they have, the support that they give us, not only as a business, we obviously do some fundraising. SkyPort is a very generous organization, which obviously Dan is a major part of that. And to be supported like that in our mission of educating children in a society today in 2025, words don't do it justice how grateful we are. And certainly the level of service that we get. I don't worry about anything. And one of the reasons that I don't learn about some of the things that Dan and his team do is because I don't need to. I don't need to worry about that. When I come up with a problem, Dan finds an answer. Whether it's off the top of his head, whether he does research, the fact is that they always seem to have standard operating procedures, protocols that would make us a more efficient organization, best practices. Some of the things that we talk about as an educational institution, we're not really a computer school. The idea is we use technology, but we don't know how to integrate that with best practices through organizational business in 2025. Dan and his team are fantastic at that. Always have great recommendations. On top of that, they also understand our parameters. SkyPort has been generous in donating some of their time, some of their equipment, some of their expertise. Dan's funny because when I call him, he's like, this is a freebie, Miller. Fact is, he takes a vested interest. And then his team, he has a few gentlemen that come over and they're actually working on site. And they become part of the Bishop Kearney family. Our employees know them. Our students start to know them. And it really is one of the better things is they're not just some faraway company that deals with it, because it could be. They don't have to be here. But Dan, he's here a lot, and we appreciate that. And I would recommend to anybody that does not have an IT professional on site, SkyPort's a great answer. If you do have an IT professional on site, SkyPort is also the answer, because they do keep up with the up-to-date processes, the technologies that's out there, the understanding and the knowledge base. I think one of the things that we struggled with when we had our IT professional here is they get so bogged down with day-to-day processes. It's hard to keep up to date with things. And SkyPort has a team of people. It's not one person. It's like you get this giant organization that honestly, they're at our beck and call, not because we want them to be, because they want to be. And it just goes to show you what kind of company SkyPort is. So I would highly recommend that to any organization. SkyPort can do a wonderful job for you.
Is there anything else you would like to add about your experience working with SkyPort IT?
On a personal note, just for me, because I am kind of the liaison between Bishop Kearney as a big organization and SkyPort, the fact is that I have been treated so well as a person, but as a member of an organization. Bishop Kearney is just so grateful to have SkyPort as almost a partner. I know that there is an exchange of business, of monetary values, but it's bigger than that for Bishop Kearney. Our relationship with SkyPort and the things that they do for us is really a wonderful thing. I'm not sure why Dan and his team are so supportive of us, but that's how we feel all the time. Anytime somebody says the word SkyPort, computer, technology, bandwidth, people throw out technological terms all the time. And I pretend like I know, but instantly I'm on the phone and the problem always gets solved. I don't believe that we've ever had a problem that hasn't been solved within, I'm going to say, an hour. I mean, it's that ridiculous that we get treated like that. We don't deserve to, but that's how we get treated. And it's fantastic. It makes my job a lot easier. We have just over 100 employees. We have just over 400 kids. We have over 120 residents. So you combine all of those areas in technology, because that's what we do. SkyPort does a wonderful job of that. So my thanks to Dan and his whole team. This is something I'm very passionate about. So the reality is, everything that I'm saying to you, I know this is a testimonial. Well, I really do mean it, and we do feel it. The support that SkyPort gives us, it goes far beyond just being a business relationship. It really does. Because I know Dan and I know his team. They are very interested in doing good work, and I think they go far above and beyond. So honestly, I wish I could come up with something that maybe wasn't so positive, but I got nothing. and I mean that sincerely. They make my job so much easier. They make everybody's job easier. When I took over, all I did was get complaints. If I had a nickel for every time I heard the Wi-Fi is not good in this building, and guess what? Since we've upgraded, I don't hear that anymore. In fact, I was on a call the other day, and somebody was up in their office a couple floors away, and they kept freezing in the screen. And we're on this meeting, and so the meeting gets over, and I immediately text her. I'm like, what Wi-Fi are you on? Oh yeah, she was hooked to her phone. And so it was a learning process for her that in order for us to deal with outside resources, we need to have good communication technology. And I go, yeah, don't do that again, because she was freezing, and there was no reason for it, because we have plenty of what we need here in the building, and it works great.
Have you had any direct experience with our support team?
So I will tell you a little funny story. So my office actually used to be in the IT center. And so Shannon, one of Dan's team members, worked out of that same space. And I believe they have a team huddle meeting pretty much every morning. And ironically, I literally could have some problem 2 desks away and say, okay, this is the problem we have. And within literally, they would stop their meeting and solve the problem. They understood I have this problem, and it didn't matter that they were in a team huddle. They literally took that opportunity to catch up on all their stuff, and then I would come in and they would instantly change and solve my problem. Now, was it because I was standing over their shoulder? Maybe, but that's not the feeling I got. The feeling I got is, for some reason, we were the most important. And as a human being and somebody who manages a lot of people, when you get that feeling from anybody, it makes your job so much more enjoyable, so much more pleasant, so much more efficient, and much more productive.
Do you have any final thoughts about working with SkyPort IT?
It's the atmosphere, it's the attitude, it's the thought process, it's literally the community relationship that we have. It's invaluable. So thank you.